We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where we have returned. Well, we've only returned partly. Alton is not with us yet again. But in his stead, we have Matthew, the other Krebs.
All I'm going to say is nobody has seen Alton and me at the same time in the same place. That's it.
That has to do with a restraining order.
Shh.
The other
Quiet.
Krebs. I think that's his new name, the other Krebs.
The other Krebs.
Other Krebs.
Hi, I'm the host, Daniel. This is my co-host, Krebs, and my other co-host, Krebs.
Not quite as good as the original. No, I don't know.
I am the original.
I'm the improvement. Go on, Daniel.
Krebs 2.0. Yeah, this 2.0 is always better than the original. All right. Anyways, so with that, folks, we have a wonderful guest on this evening. She has been on before. When she was
a year
on
ago, almost to the day.
Really? It's been a year?
It was April 9th of last year.
Holy crap.
Oh, goodness.
That's been a year. We talked about the exciting Kickstarter at that point, which funded more than sufficiently.
Yes.
And she's back to talk about another Kickstarter, which is called Mother, Tales of Love and Terror, which sounds like my childhood.
Most people's childhood, really.
Yeah.
That's why we thought it was such a great idea, because mothers are so innately terrifying. Like they have so much power over your life, and for most of your youth at least, you think your mom knows things that she shouldn't know, like she can read minds and she can see through walls and she knows.
Or she has a baseball bat, who knows?
Yeah, exactly, right. So anyway, yeah. So we're excited that it's going to be. It's great. It's doing really well. It's almost 70% funded, and we still have over 2 weeks left. So hopefully we'll make some big bucks.
Now, the great thing is, especially even with the last Kickstarter, you had some really good names. You still had, it was open to submissions, and it sounded like you just were flooded with those. And let's face it, horror has been there. It's been part of humanity forever. It was a huge deal in the Romantic era. That's why we got great novels like Frankenstein and so many other stories. And we're fascinated with the dark and the macabre, and we like to get our pants scared. And that's why we have haunted
I was
houses.
wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah,
I like to get my pants scared off.
Yeah, scared off.
I like to get my pants scared on. I like to just get my pants scared generally.
The number of times that I've been in an emergency and my first thought was, I got to get these pants off.
That's Magic Mike. He does his thing. He grabs his pants.
Well, I'm not a wizard, Daniel.
I know.
Hey, Daniel, wait. We're starting to get like deep into some topics here. But wait, Daniel, there are a couple things that are very, very important. First and foremost, you
gotta go to news.
Willow is not a Heather. Now,
yes.
we also have.
He's not a Heather.
True. I'm not
Willow
a
is not
Heather.
In the absence of Alton, for the rest of the night, Matthew will be calling you Heather, and then I will creep in and say, not a Heather. And then we will go on from there. Okay? That's the game we will play from now, because I already did the Willow game last time, so we have to do a different game this time.
So are we going to count? We're going to count, see how many we can squeeze in.
Maybe we should keep a running tally. No one can see it
think
because
so.
it's a podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
You start throwing out other
Well,
names that aren't
let's test it out. Heather, welcome to the podcast.
Not a Heather.
Got it.
and then Daniel goes.
There we go.
And then Daniel goes ding.
That's fun.
Dang it! I don't have a bell or anything.
I bet you if you hurry and download something on your phone, you can get something. I want him to keep track in like a tennis voice, and that is 1-0. And then there we go. All right.
I love it.
But we have nerd news, which we actually skipped last week, I believe, because we had so much to talk about anyway. It didn't really matter. But we do have some nerd news today. And I think in honor of Matthew rejoining us yet again, I think it would be wonderful for Matthew to take this away and tell us his nerd news. Matthew, go.
We're going to go to the other Krebs for nerd news.
Other Krebs.
Other
All right,
Krebs.
this is the Other Krebs News Network. So some of you may be familiar with the card game Exploding Kittens.
Woo-hoo.
I've got some good news for you. Netflix has ordered an animated series based on Exploding Kittens.
I'm surprised PETA isn't all over this one.
Yeah. Do we really want to see
animated.
kittens explode? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just wait. Just wait.
CETA is against this. Cartoons for the ethical treatment of animals.
Okay, there you go. So Exploding Kittens follows the eternal conflict between heaven and hell as it reaches epic proportions when both God and the devil are sent to earth in the bodies of chunky house cats.
Oh, they're so cute.
So Netflix must be listening to this podcast. They have taken Krebs's advice to be epic with their Exploding Kittens series.
My only worry is they're gonna suck.
I-
It's gonna be cool, and they're gonna say, "Yeah, we cancel after a season."
If they do it like Happy Tree Friends, I don't know if you guys ever saw Happy Tree Friends.
Oh, I loved Happy Tree
It was
Friends.
the most.
Everything fell off. It was cut off.
Yeah, it was an utterly cutesy, adorable cartoon that then turned into like a massacre that was macabre. Like it was just they would do everything unexpected, and it was like horrifyingly violent. If they do it like that, then there's some possibilities.
Look it up on the internet. Like,
I think you're the devil in
cute
the
cats
shape of
talking,
a.
and then you see this ice pick go through someone's skull.
Yeah.
The eyeballs dangling.
I bought it. I bought the DVD when I worked at Suncoast, not knowing what it was, and I took it home and I watched it, and having never seen any of it before and had no idea what it was, and then the massacre starts. I'm just and I bought every DVD after that I could find. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Like Night of the Living Dead cartoons.
Well, in other news, Vin Diesel has just released on Twitter, I believe, the logo for the next Fast and Furious movie. It's going to be Fast X.
Yep.
They are doing
We're at
2
10.
movies. They are going to film 2 more movies. They're filming them back to back. And these are going to bring to an end the major story arc. Now, as we have seen with Hobbs and Shaw, that does not mean the franchise is over. It just means the main story arc, Vin Diesel is not quite as young as he was back when they were stealing VCRs or something in the first movie.
And they had plans for a burner on a floppy disk.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe they're still making these movies.
You've got to realize how old the franchise is.
I mean, the
When
last
did it
one they
start?
shot a car into space. I mean,
I know. They've already
okay.
shot the car into space, so I really hope I will be very disappointed if by the last movie that nobody has jumped a shark.
Elon
I
Musk
got
saw
to-
them.
You got to
Musk
jump
saw them.
over a shark tank or something.
No. This is what has to happen in 10. A DeLorean shows up. Doc Brown coming out of it. We gotta save him. We gotta get in.
To answer your question,
I love it.
To answer your question, the first movie came out in 2001.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so long ago.
Okay.
21
20
years.
Years ago.
Yeah, it came out just before 9. It came out like in the summer before 9/11.
Yeah, the summer before
Oh my
9/11.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So they have just started filming. I believe this was within the last, today. He posted today that, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be a few days hence.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, around April 20th, they started, it was the first day of shooting on Fast X.
Yeah.
That's right.
I hate to say this, but once they're done, I think the series is over because Hobbs and Shaw did not do very well.
No.
Well, and that's what they're aiming for with this. Like they announced, I think, with the previous Fast and Furious movie that they were going to do 2 more and call it quits. And I'm like, but that's 11.
Yeah.
Like, why would you stop at 11? Other series only go to 10. This one goes to 11. No,
That's what I was going to say.
But I want like an even dozen. I want like a dirty dozen of Fast and Furious.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
Like I avoided the Fast and Furious movies for years, for at least 10 years.
I own every one of them.
My story's not done. I avoided them because I was so concerned about preserving my IQ. But then one day I was seriously bored. I didn't have anything else I really wanted to watch. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this Fast and Furious thing a try. And sure enough, not only did it make me dumber, but it also was awesome. And I loved it. And I thought Fast 5 was the best one. Fast number 5 was just incredible. That's when they jumped the shark as they dragged a vault.
That was the one I think that you introduced me to the series, and then I had to go back and catch up on watch all the other ones as well. So that was you lowering my IQ, huh?
Yeah. Well, I had to bring you down. I had to bring you down to my level. Guys, PG-13 warning here. I'm going to say something a little tongue in cheek. I describe these kinds of movies as they are designed to make your testicles explode. Like that's all they're for. They're just it's a super shot.
It's a popcorn flip.
Yeah, Willow, didn't your testicles explode when you watched these movies?
They did. They descended. Actually. They descended. And then my husband was like, "What is happening?" In
your case, we refer to them as broveries. But anyway.
Oh, yes. Broveries.
Broveries. All right, Matthew, by the way, other Krebs, it's just okay. No, all right, so okay.
Dang, okay. You are salty tonight.
I am on it. It's just for the entertainment effect. Here's the truth, folks. My brother and I are like best friends. So there's no hate. There's no hate. We don't have like the sibling rivalry thing. It's not real. But we certainly do love each other and love telling jokes at each other's expense. Other Krebs. So any other news?
That's the news from the Other Krebs Network today.
Fantastic. Daniel, you want to hit us up with some good news?
Sure. I mean, I'm kind of running in the same realm with Matthew, but Amazon Studios is actually in a bidding war to acquire the live action rights for a Voltron film, not a cartoon, yes. A live action.
Whoa!
I am 100% in.
Yeah, with Ross and Marshall Thurber set to direct. Which, come on, that's going to be awesome.
Can I just reiterate that the reboot of Power Rangers, that film that came out like 7 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
That movie was horribly underappreciated. That movie was actually really good and would have made a great trilogy had people shown up to the box office. And I'm hoping...
I still...
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I like Bryan Cranston, but not in that movie. Yeah.
Well, and Elizabeth Smart, right? No, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Banks. Elizabeth Banks. I always get Elizabeth Banks and Amy Smart mixed up, and then I say their names together.
And then you got that. So go ahead.
So along those lines of great cartoons being made into live action movies, there was another effort similarly several years ago. There's a Japanese anime called Space Battleship Yamato, and it was called Star Blazers when it was originally brought over in the late 70s, early 80s. They made a live action version of that is so much like the cartoon. It is just amazing. And it's the entire cartoon series squeezed down to about 90 minutes. But if they can pull off with this Voltron live action, what they did with that one, it's going to be great.
They did the same thing with Cowboy Bebop. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop failed and got canceled.
Well, it
because
failed.
The internet sucks.
It's just... It was a copy. They would have made it a little bit newer with added some additional stuff. I think it would have been better, but it was an exact copy. Yeah.
Does it say when the potential Voltron live action film?
No, it probably won't get a date until they acquire it. It's still in a bidding war.
Okay.
Yeah. So other news: Hasbro has big plans for Dungeons and Dragons, more films, and video games. They actually did extremely well this last quarter. Brought in lots of money, and because of that, D&D and Magic are bringing in lots of joy for the Hasbro execs. So they have lots of plans of moving forward from the games to other media. There's going to be a TV series, there's going to be movies, and other things in the works, and AAA games. So I mean, most D&D games have been kind of boring on the video game front, but we'll see that.
Nice.
The deciding factor on whether I'll watch that series is the absence or presence of a Wayans brother.
As long as there isn't any, we're good. Even
Okay.
Jeremy Irons is the bad guy. Can't save it.
All right. As long as there's no Wayans brothers, then I'll give it a chance.
But you don't want. Which one was it that played in that movie?
Marlon.
You don't want Marlon to come back as like the sympathetic ghost that helps everybody at the end.
Or
my word.
Let alone the really horrible, weird rug that sucked him in, and or the fact that Jimmy Olsen was the rogue.
That's all I can ever see that actor as.
Yeah.
Right.
If you haven't already seen it, the Thor: Love and Thunder teaser has hit. It hit yesterday. Pretty dang awesome. You get to see a really buff Natalie Portman, which, wow.
For the record, I am purposely avoiding the trailer because I don't want to know. I already know some stuff just by word of mouth, but I don't want to know.
Yep. And then Lucasfilm is developing a new Star Wars game with Uncharted director Amy Hennig. So, yeah.
What?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I did see today. And it's Skybound. Skybound is the one doing it, not Naughty Dog, but Skybound was behind. Oh, I want to say it was the Golden Abyss title, but Skybound did do an Uncharted game, and Annie Hennig, she wrote and assistant directed the first 2 Uncharted games. Mm-hmm. I want to say she was involved in 3, but I don't remember. And in 4, she was already gone. But Annie Hennig is amazing.
Yeah.
She's
so this is going to be a narrative-driven action-adventure game featuring an original story. So something never done before. So we'll see what happens. So
we shall see.
It'll be exciting.
We shall see.
Yes.
Awesome. Oh. And then for my little tidbits of news, and they really are just small tidbits this time, but The Batman, a movie that we loved, and we still have to get Elton's read on, by the way. The Batman is now on HBO Max, a streaming service that my wife and I lovingly refer to as.
I've already watched it twice this week.
I know. I've wanted to watch it 18 times this week and just haven't. But The Batman has dropped on Hbo. It came out on April 18th. So if you have not yet watched it, then either grab a friend who has a Hbo account, start your free trial, or just buy 1 month because it's worth the $6 or whatever it is to watch The Batman, which is a phenomenal Detective Comics film.
I have said it on the podcast. It is now my favorite Batman film.
It
despite Robert Pattinson.
And Robert Pattinson's not bad.
No, he did a great job.
No, he did a great job.
But I didn't want to go see it because of sparkly vampires. But he did a great job. And it's my favorite.
The game, there's a PS4 game. Actually, I take that back. It's on PlayStation and Xbox. Xbox One and X and PS4 and 5. There's a game called It Takes Two, which is a brilliant game that requires 2 players. You don't have an NPC. You can't play it solo. You have to play it with someone else. And the entire game is not only about cooperation, but it's about relationship. It's about human interaction and connectivity. That game is excellent. My wife and I are playing through it. My kids already played it together and finished it, so we have to catch up. But apparently, they're turning that into a movie, which is being executive produced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Hey, hold on a second. Everybody all together now. It takes 2 to make things go right.
Oh my gosh. That's a deep cut. That was awesome. Commitment.
Ryan Reynolds does that best. If we can find that clip from the proposal and stick it in here in the podcast, perfect.
Well, it's better than from the ceiling to the walls. So yeah, It Takes Two. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, even though I think the game is phenomenal, the thing that makes the game phenomenal is that it's an experience that you're part of. Mm-hmm. And turning this into a movie, I'm a little skeptical that this will translate well. But I have to say, The Rock has done some pretty cool stuff in recent history, so I guess it's worth keeping our eyes on. And this last little bit of news is mostly just for me, but for those who don't know, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a huge fan of The Division 2 on PlayStation or on Xbox or on PC, whatever you want to play that on. But The Division 2 is great because I love the cooperative nature of the game. Now, this game is reaching the end of life, but they do have one more world update coming out, title update 15, and it comes with a new game mode, a few new exotics, a new gear set, a new brand set. They're injecting a little more life back into this game. And the funny thing is, my buddy and I, we were kind of hopping around trying to find a game that we wanted to play together, including some new stuff like Back 4 Blood, but nothing really like clicked with us. And then we're like, well, what if we went back to Division 2 and just started over from scratch? I'm like, that sounds like fun. And we were right. That game, even now in 2022, I think it's 4 years old now, something like that. That game is so stinking enjoyable, especially with friends. If you haven't played that, please do. A new title update is coming. We don't know when, but it should be this year, as well as the hotly anticipated The Division Heartland, which is going to be a free-to-play title. Anyway, that wraps up our nerd news, and it only took us twice as long as we normally take.
Only twice.
Only twice.
It's all the other Krebs' fault.
It's all my fault. Now, Heather, you realize this
Not a
is
Heather.
just for your benefit, of course. Normally, it's Alton's fault. So.
Oh, that's two.
That's right. That's right.
If I get to 10, do I get like a punch card or like a free meal or?
Maybe.
You get
and the other Krebs will pay.
All right.
You get a free Heather.
If we get to 10, you get to punch Krebs.
Yay!
Well played.
That's a
well played.
real punch card. I'm into that.
Well played.
Boom.
Oh, there's the punchline. Anyways.
But I'm an old dad, so I only give pun cards.
Oh. More like
I
punk.
just died on the inside. I just died. My soul is
Matthew
gone
likes to
now.
watch people die on the outside.
No, the best part is this is the other Krebs' last episode.
Oh.
Well, die on the outside is rather apropos, and what a great segue into what Heather is here for tonight.
No,
Not a Heather.
Not Heather. My name is Willow.
Her name is Willow.
Nice to meet you.
Those of you that know, yes, it's Willow Becker. Fantastic, wonderful individual that lets us apparently call her Heather and other things.
Not a Heather.
Not Heather.
Wow, I just got a point.
Good job, guys.
We will never get anywhere on this show tonight.
Nope.
Anyways, we're talking about the Kickstarter, Mother Tales of Love and Horror.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this amazing Kickstarter you're doing.
Well, yeah, this is our second Kickstarter. Last year we came on and talked about Humans Are the Problem. And of course, I'm wearing my cool Humans Are the Problem shirt, which you can't see, but is awesome. And it was great. We doubly funded last year. It was super, super cool. We got all of the books out, even though I had some kind of major health problems. So as soon as I was done with getting all the books out, I was like, should I do another book? And then I did. and so, yeah, I called up a bunch of the people that we had in the last book. And then I called up a bunch of really cool new people. And so the book has just this phenomenal cast of writers right now. Like, it's really crazy because these are all my favorite writers, like, of horror. I didn't get Stephen King or Joe Hill, so that's still on my list. But I got Brian Evanson, and so I'm feeling pretty happy about that.
Nice.
But anyway, like it's really, really amazing. Like, just fantastic writers, and the stories are fantastic already, and it's just awesome.
If any listeners out there know Stephen King, contact us so we can get contact with
let
Willow.
us know so we can get him on the show.
We need to get him, just get him on to write a short story. This would be amazing.
I know, that would be so great. Actually, he's one of those like white whales, and everybody who is writing horror anthologies wants him in their book.
I know.
And so it was like I don't know, 4 months ago, and I saw somebody came out with an anthology. It's really, really great. And his name was on it, and I was like, how did they get him to write a story for their anthology.
The anthology took place in Maine.
Yes, no, they did not. It's a reprint anthology. And I was like, that's cheating.
That's
That is cheating. That's cheating because he already published that. That's cheating. But someday, my life goal is, this is terrible, but I have a bucket list like everybody. And one of the things on my bucket list is so embarrassing. I'm such a freaking Stephen King psycho. My bucket list includes to know his personal cell phone number.
That is a great goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Never, I'm not call it, just to have it. Just to have it. That's the bucket list.
I want you to know that I have Doug Jones' cell phone number in my phone, and I do text him. I don't call him because he's too busy, but I do text him, and he does text back. And it's wonderful.
Cool.
Why hasn't he been on this show?
So let's talk about that later. So
Okay, the other Krebs may have his job back.
Great! Now I can be epic because Krebs sucks.
Ouch! You're not far off.
Now,
all right.
Speaking of Stephen King, are you guys aware that there is a Quantum Leap episode that features Stephen King?
Yep.
I own every episode of Quantum Leap. Yeah, and I'm excited because they're bringing it back.
They are.
They are.
I don't know if they can do it as good in the 2020s as they did back then.
Yeah.
No.
So basically, the premise is there's a new group that's going to find Sam Beckett because he disappeared at the end of the series. We don't know where he went, and they're going to find him. They're going to find him and bring him back. And so
he earned his retirement. They do not need to go get. Of course, they will get him back, and then Scott Bakula will be like.
So Scott Bakula is reprising his role.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that's a brilliant idea. I had that idea like a year ago. I was like, man, someone got to redo Quantum Leap. This is a good show.
It's not going to be a redo. It's going to be a continuation of the story, which I think
it's great. I love it. Let's make it happen.
Only problem is we don't have Al, so
no more Dean Stockwell.
That is really frustrating.
Yeah, I was really sad about that.
Yeah, but maybe we'll still have Ziggy.
Ziggy?
Yeah, Ziggy was the guy that was Ziggy was IT guy.
Yeah,
it was like the computer.
Yeah, well, he talked to Ziggy through the computer.
Yeah,
I know, but he was like not even a part. That's not like a person.
No, they showed up.
Was he like in the first episode or like in the last
episode?
Cast.
Yeah.
Oh,
he had googly eyes and curly hair with a receding
hair was always kind of wiry.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
we saw him in the final season when him and Al swapped places, and he got to go back.
Yes,
and see his wife.
But okay, so you did your previous Kickstarter. It went super duper well. Went super well. How well are we talking?
It was 200 and I don't know, some odd percent, like 220% fund or something.
Nice.
It was doubly.
It was more than double.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was more than doubly funded, and now we have Tales of Love and Terror. Go ahead, okay.
So I'm curious about. You called me okay. I'm curious about. We always hear the lead up and the pitch for the Kickstarter, and when they're really successful, like yours was. What was that like, and what happens after? Did like Pedro? Did all of your dreams come true? I mean, you got to put out this book. You had you got these writers and these stories exposed to this massive audience, which is fantastic. What else happened behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I don't know, like how much. The fact is that my life kind of exploded. My life exploded like in like almost the exact minute that the Kickstarter ended. So like the Kickstarter ends, it's great. We're funded like 210% or whatever. We make like $13,000 for this book, which is awesome. And then we open up submissions, and we had like over 400 submissions for the 10 slots that we had open for the book, and they were all fantastic. And I started reading the stories, and then I found out that I had cancer, and my life kind of exploded. So that's what happened in the back end. So I took some time to kind of deal with the fact that I had some cancer, just a little scotch of it. And and by scotch I mean a lot. So I had a lot of it all over the place. And so I took some time to kind of deal with that and shaved my head, got some chemo, as you do. And then I kind of got back in the thick of it after I decided that I was, yes, indeed, going to live forever. After I decided that cancer was dumb and I don't want to have it anymore. So yeah, that's what happened. But as far as like the nuts and bolts of putting together the anthology, basically it really was, we make the money, we get the stories, we read for a month until our eyes start bleeding. And then once your eyes feel like they should probably be put on ice somewhere in a different realm, then you pick the ones you like the best, which we did. And we had this amazing anthology. It was really, really great. And just fantastic. And then it was a matter of just getting everybody's rewards out to them, which is kind of a big deal when you have a Kickstarter, is you have to make sure everyone gets all the stuff that they ordered. And because we are a one-person show, when it comes to rewards, all of the stuff basically came to my house in huge boxes, and then they sat in my living room for the next 4 months while I packaged them up and sent them out by hand. I don't know if everybody knows that I'm the person who personally packaged every single package and sent it with love.
Well, now they do.
They know.
Yeah.
So just keep this in mind. If you back Heather's Kickstarter,
not a Heather,
then you will have your package packaged by hand and with love from Heather.
I thought you were going to say be packaged by Heather when you said by hand.
By Howard.
Not a real hand.
Not a real hand.
Okay, so given that this genre is horror, now based on something that you said there, were there any stories about bleeding eyes?
In the first book, no.
But the first book implies. So anyway,
yeah,
so
the next book we don't know.
We don't.
Yes. So that's what this Kickstarter is about, right? Is this volume 2 of the anthology, or is it a different thing?
Totally different. Yeah. So the first anthology was which was called Humans Are the Problem, a Monsters Anthology. It looks like this. Humans Are the Problem.
Yep.
That looks so
Humans
cool.
Are the Problem, Monsters Anthology. And it was really fun. It was kind of cheeky. We had some really funny stories. I know you guys ordered a book. I know you did. One of you has a book, so you have read some of it. But there's some really funny stories in it. There's some kind of darker stories in it. This anthology is quite a bit darker than our first anthology. It is actually a kind of a literary horror anthology, because our last anthology got kind of picked. Anyway, a bunch of really cool stuff happened. Our anthology got picked to be longlisted for the Stoker Award for Anthology for the year. And the Stoker Award is run by the Horror Writers Association of America, right? The Horror Writers Association. So they chose our anthology to put on their list of top 10 anthologies that everyone needed to read. And then they picked the short list, but we didn't make the short list. But this year we're going to write an anthology that is like, it's really good. I keep telling people this, I'm like, you liked the anthology last year? Let me just tell you, this one is really good. It's really good. And it's going to be really, really, really good. And it's going to be really scary. But our thing as a company, Weird Little Worlds, which is kind of my brainchild here, our thing is we write horror so far. And this anthology is horror, science fiction, and fantasy. So it's not just horror. It actually it spans the gamut of kind of all the things that we do here. But we're a PG-13 a company. So we want to tell really great stories. We want them to be scary and fun. But we also don't do gratuitous violence. We don't do profanity, like excessive profanity. We don't do sex. So we don't do any of those things. Because I love horror. I love it very, very much. It's my jam, and it always has been. But I don't like reading really, like edgy fiction's not really for me. Like splatterpunk's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But I do love horror. I love a really, really good, scary story well told. That's what I like.
Yes.
And so that's what we're doing is we're writing an anthology of really, really scary stories that are well told, but that don't have all the stuff in there that I don't want to read.
Yeah.
Right. This kind of continues a theme from the last episode that you were on, where we were talking about how a lot of horror movies rely on some I'm going to offend people. I don't care. Some cheap tricks to make them work.
Don't
and you
be
mentioned
cruel.
some of them. Hey, I just want you to want me, okay? So the splatterpunk stuff, the gore porn, all that kind of stuff, and of course, you know, the slutty girls are the ones that get killed first, right? You got to throw sex in there because that's how you sell a movie, perhaps. But it really does kind of, in most cases, there's so much focus on that. There's not a lot of energy to go into a story or a plot. Meanwhile, you get some of these great classics, classic horror suspense movies that don't need that to make them amazing. And stories go the same way. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad to hear that, because I think that, that's going to make this anthology, like you said, fire, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's because there's a focus on the story itself. And when you can get literature to evoke some strong reaction, because you're basically manipulating somebody else's imagination, you have to be a good writer to make that happen, especially in a world where most of our entertainment is kind of coming through a visual medium. So being able to do this is incredible. So I think it's going to be great. One more thing I want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. One more thing I want to say is I really love the idea of this anthology. Because I know there's two kind of readers out there, and one of them will read anything because they're always looking for the next new thing, and they don't care if they come across something that's really not that great. They'll just move on to the next thing. Then there's people like me, and I don't think I'm the only one out there, who get so invested in the people that we read and in the literature. I find an author that I like, and I'll read everything that he or she puts out, right? You know, after Anne McCaffrey passed, I'm still reading her son's continuation of the Pern series and things like that. That was Pern with an E, by the way, in case somebody misheard me.
Yes, he's a pornographer. He's absolutely in that series.
I'm not. McCaffrey is the pornographer, the writer of Pern. But anyway, and so when I find these anthologies are great because you get a sample. You get a sample of a number of great authors. And I've found some good anthologies before, going through a similar vein of self-funded, get this stuff out there, and I'll read through them, and they're just short. And you can find something like, this is a really great concept, this idea. Or you find an author, you say, I really, really like that. And that's kind of how I discovered Jim Butcher. And then I got into the Harry Dresden files, right? Is that he showed up in an anthology that happened to have Robert Jordan. So of course I had to buy it and read the whole thing. But anyway, your anthology idea, I mean, if the first one was really, really good, the sounding of this one is going to be even better. This is just fantastic.
Yeah, and the truth is that I agree. I personally, I love short fiction. It's like, it really is the thing I love most. I love short fiction. I love horror short fiction, and so it really, like, having the opportunity to do this as a job is really like a dream come true, because not only do I get to read all of these stories that are just really, really, really great, but I get to work with people who I like idolize. Like, I just love Gemma Files. I think she is brilliant. And the story she wrote for us last year actually was put into Best Horror of the Year, Volume 13, which is Ellen Datlow's. That's what she puts out every year. That's like the quintessential, this is what you have to read every year. Like, her story from last year got put into that anthology, which is like the anthology. And it's so like that, it was such a big deal to me because I love Gemma. I totally worship her. I think she's amazing. I love Ellen Datlow. I think she's amazing. They're like some of my two favorite women in horror. And because of all of that, I've had a chance to, and now I've worked with John Langan, who I absolutely adore. He's just brilliant writer. I have worked with Philip Fracassi, who I love. I'm working this year with Brian Evanson, who I can't tell you. I just can't tell you how great he is. And then also like all of these really kind of up and coming writers who are really very, very, very talented. Mercedes Murdoch Yardley and Ai Jung and Christina Singh, just incredible writers. Shane Hawk and Steve Toast, Steve Razik-Tem, who's not up and coming. Like he's legit. Like he won the World Fantasy Award. He's won the Stoker Award. He just is really a fantastic writer all around. And just so many people. I can't talk about everybody, but the truth is that the list is amazing. The writing caliber is just next level. And my co-editor, Christy Nogle, who was actually in Humans Are the Problem, she's a really phenomenal editor. And I'm so excited to work with her because she has a really good literary eye. I loved her story in Humans Are the Problem. And if you haven't read it, please go and read it. It is really, really good. Yeah, it's just really, really, really good. So anyway, it's going to be a really, really great anthology. And the stories that we have so far are just out of this world. They're just so scary and beautiful. And that's what I want. Something scary and beautiful and haunting that just stays with you and teaches you forever. I love it.
Do you already have all the stories that you're going to have for this anthology? Are they already like all locked down, or is it still growing?
Yeah, so we have 15 featured authors, and so far we have 5 open spots. And that's what we'll fill those from our open submissions, which actually opened last week. So we are currently taking submissions. In the first 2 days, we already had like 80 submissions. So we have lots of stories to read through. And as soon as we get funded, we'll start reading them. So we just have to get there. I keep getting emails and Kickstarter like, you're probably gonna fund. We hope that we hope you're aware that you should probably be working on your stuff because it's likely you're gonna fund. So we're shooting for not just funding. Like funding is great, and we are really close to funding, which is great. We have 2 weeks, and we have $2,000 left to make, which we're appreciative of all of you supporting it. Yes, but if we can hit $10,000, then we actually can open up 5 more additional slots, which is really what we want. We would rather have an anthology that has about 25 to 30 stories. We can only do that if we get the funding for it, though.
No, that's awesome. So basically, everyone go fund the Kickstarter. Just go, type it in. Put in your.
Go do it. They're only $20. Like they're $23, and they're great. Such a great book.
Yeah.
Now, it does mention that you'll be printing paperback. Will you also be printing hardcover?
We have to reach the stretch goal. So
and how do we do that?
You just have to give us more money than we're asking for.
I just meant like which goal. I'm going through the Kickstarter right now. I'm trying to find
yeah, the stretch goal for the hardcovers, I think is also at 10,000. Actually, yeah. I'd have to look at it again.
Yep, hardcovers unlocked at 10K.
Yeah, at 10,000. So really, when we hit 10,000,
like
I know. Yeah, that's the thing. We really need to get to 10 grand. That's really where we need to be. And as soon as we get there, then we get to open up our extra stories. We get to open up the hardcovers. There's all this extra cool stuff that we can send out. I don't know. There's just, it's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need all of the support because this is a book that we designed for you and you must purchase it from us first.
So we talked about like the people in this anthology that are super cool, people that you enjoyed working with, and I totally understand that. But in terms of like the theme itself and the stories that you've read, what makes this anthology important to you?
Ooh. I actually have been thinking a lot about that. Like, why is this the idea that I have wanted to do so much? I love my mother. I like adore her. um, and I think most people do. I think this is one of the reasons why it's such an interesting anthology. I think people love their mothers, but there is something about a mother that is kind of that is scary in that you don't really know her. Like she's this person who has one face, one like this one facet as your parent. And there are all of these things that I think that are hiding behind that facade. Like we see the mother part of that person, but we don't really know who she was when she was 20. You know, we weren't there. We don't know those stories. And then there's also kind of this intrinsic power dynamic where you have this person who is forming souls and minds and in charge of protecting and what if something goes wrong? But I also like, I don't know, I could honestly talk about this forever, but I also like the idea of fooling around with the idea of motherhood. Like I want stories about, robot mothers or creatures that that are protecting their progeny. I think of Alien a lot, actually. I think that she, like, that mother is a mother whose story I'd like to hear. I want to hear that story. Like, what's her perspective on her role as a mom, and then I also like the idea of motherhood from different perspectives. From different cultures. I want to hear, what's a male centric story about a mother? What's that relationship like? Like, there's so much. Everyone has a mom, and there's so much room to play in it to tell kind of an interesting, story that sticks to your ribs. So, yeah.
That is so intriguing. I think there's a really deep human element to what you're saying there. Building on what you said, I mean, as kids, we look at our mother and, all powerful, all knowing. How did she see that? I thought I was going to get away with it, that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then you grow up and you become an adult. Maybe you have kids of your own. And all of a sudden you start having a lot of the same parental experiences that you remember your mom having with you. Mm-hmm. Corollary to that, you end up having the mother's curse becomes real. You ended up having kids just like you. Yeah. But you go through this and you look at all the times when I tuck my kids in bed and they're safe and they're happy. I kiss them on their little foreheads. And then I go downstairs to pay the bills and bite my nails and worry about where the money is going to come from. Mm-hmm. And I'm realizing, oh my gosh, this is what my mother went through. Mm-hmm. And I look back on things and go, why did she have this hang up? Why was this particular thing so hard for her to deal with? Why did I always hit a brick wall when we got to this topic? And then as an adult, with adult eyes, you look back and you realize the traumas and experiences that she had and went through, and you realize, oh, this makes a whole lot more sense now. And I was kind of being a jerk about it when I was a kid. And so in a sense, I mean, it's not like horror, but it's kind of horrifying on a personal level. The more that you understand, and I guess maybe there's an element of shame in there that you didn't understand it when it mattered. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much to explore there, especially in a fantasy or a fictional setting, that you could draw, I think, some pretty poignant horror aspects into an amazing story.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the reason why both of these anthologies, honestly, both of these anthologies have been born from stories that I have actually written. Like, what I do is sometimes I find a concept or a topic and I write a story, or I find myself writing stories around that topic. And I realize, oh, this is the thing that has broken inside of me. There's something wrong with me and I should probably work it out or whatever. And then I realized that is probably something that's broken inside a lot of people, right? Like, relationships with parents is always a hard thing, but it's not really just about the brokenness. I really feel like I also want to see mothers doing pro-tagging, basically. I want to see mothers doing things that are exciting. I want to see them fighting monsters. I want to see them saving kids. I want to see them saving the world. I want to see them doing witchcraft. I want to see them, drinking blood. I want to see moms doing things that are usually only reserved for young adult fantasy. I want to see them doing exciting things.
It's Molly Weasley coming after Bellatrix Lestrange, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I think it's going to be super cool. And there's so much room to play around. I think that if there are writers out there who are like, this sounds like something that I could do. This sounds like a project I'd like to take on, a challenge. I say go for it, because we're only looking for like 1,000 to 3,000 words. These are little stories. They're not big. And if you want to just take a whack at it, I mean, what are you gonna lose? It's gonna take you like a week and a half to write that story. Just write it.
Yeah.
Write something cool. Great.
No, this sounds like a great anthology, and people that love horror, or even people that don't love horror. I mean, sometimes a good horror story is fun to read and to experience that. I mean, that's the reason why haunted houses are still around, because people want that thrill, that excitement, just for a little bit. And the fact that you don't have to invest through an entire novel, you could just get it in bite-sized chunks. Read a story here or there, or find something fantastic and amazing. So, folks, go fund the Kickstarter. So it's Mother, Tales of Love and Terror. And yes, go fund this. Get them up to that 10,000 mark, so that not only can you get more stories, but you can also get an awesome hardback to sit on your shelf. And beyond that, just keep funding it until they just hit other stretch goals, because that's how awesome this would be. So we will share out the link when we post the show, so you'll be able to access it that way. But if you Google search it, you'll find it. So with that said, we are going to hand it over to the original Krebs of the show, maybe not the original Krebs of the family, to introduce
your original Krebs. You're okay now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice. That was good.
We're going to introduce Willow to the lightning round, because when we went back and looked, the lightning round happened the episode after she was last on the show. So she has never experienced the lightning round, and thus I hand the torch over.
Yes, as luck would have it, the very next episode was when the lightning round really started to take shape. And so now, with the reappearance of... Do I say her real name? Or with the reappearance of our guest, we can now do the lightning round with Heather.
Not
Not to Heather.
I set it up for you guys. I set up and I sat there, and she had to bail us out.
I had to do it, you guys. Come on, get on it.
I'm in charge of the whiteboard.
Way to go, Mims. All right, so okay, so for the lightning round, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. Most of them are random. I want you to give me the very first answer that pops into your head. I don't want you to have to think about it very much. A lot of these are very, very, very simple questions. So you don't have to feel any pressure. You don't have to feel any stress, except just be fast. All right, so here we go. Ready? You ready?
Yes.
Awesome. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite movie?
Swords.
Wait, say it again?
I just said words. I just said swords. I'm just
Swords.
saying words. I'm not even thinking.
This
favorite movie is Swords.
Her favorite movie is Swords. I like this. This is great.
Sorry, I thought you did like a...
I think she meant Knives Out, maybe.
Blue. 7. Arm.
Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. All right, so...
Okay, I'll try again. Favorite movie is Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Number one place you'd like to visit but have not yet?
Ireland.
Favorite place you have been to?
Hawaii.
And finally, what is your stance on the 1983 sci-fi fantasy film Krull?
Krull?
Krull.
I've never seen it.
Awesome. So it just so happens that in the not too distant future, we will be having a watch party, and you're invited.
Yay! I would love to come. That sounds awesome. Is it awesome? Is it great?
It is phenomenally underappreciated.
Bro.
Okay, here's the best part.
Yeah, that's bad.
I highly invite you to watch the trailer because the trailer is the worst trailer on the planet. Now, here's the thing.
No.
I love
The trailer for Ator is worse.
but the trailer for Ator is accurate. I do love crappy movies. I love hilariously bad movies, but Kroll is not one of those for me. For me, genuinely, 100%, I love this movie. And am I not correct that one of your favorite movies is Willow?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
Because my name is Willow.
Yeah, well.
Not Heather.
Not a Willow. I'm sorry,
Heather.
not a Heather.
Not an actual Nelwyn. All right.
Not an actual Nelwyn.
So if you like Willow and if you like that era of sword and sorcery, this film takes quite a bit of that formula and combines it with the successful aspects of sci-fi at that time. It's a great romp through cinematic history. A young Liam Neeson is in it. A young Robbie Coltrane before he was Hagrid. It's wonderful stuff. We're going to have some great conversations around this. I think that you would love it.
I will.
When is this happening? Because you keep
when
saying
is it?
it's going to happen. Because you've been saying for a year now that.
So we will talk about this behind the scenes. We will come up with an answer to this because I do keep bringing this up, but we don't have anything solid yet. There are so many things, Dungeon Crawlers, there are so many things that we want to do, and we just haven't shoehorned it into our 9-to-5 schedule, but we need to.
Oh, you know what we didn't mention?
What?
We didn't mention Monster Class.
Oh my gosh, we didn't mention Monster Class, and it was on the list of things that we had to talk about. Oh my gosh. Heather!
Heather!
Not a Heather.
A Heather! Monster Class.
Okay, all together now.
Well, wait.
Not a Heather.
Yeah, that one. I was going to say, which part are we doing? The Heather or the not a Heather? It doesn't matter. Willow, tell us about Monster Class.
Monster Class is great. So every year, right around our Kickstarter, we do this cool mini conference. It's a conference that we do with the authors, our featured authors. And this year, it is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because of the mothers. That's why it's phenomenal. Okay.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Phenomenal. That's right. So this year, I'm actually a week from, so I'm not going to say that. It is April 28th, 29th, and 30th. And it is free, and it features our incredible writers, which is awesome. And so we have on the 28th, we have Size Does Matter.
Hey.
How flash short fiction novels, novellas, and how we all write them different. So we'll be talking about size and how to figure out what size your story should be. And then we have on Friday, we have writing real and developing inclusive, deep, and compelling characters. And then on the 30th, we have the stories that shaped us, the best 10 pieces of short fiction ever.
Nice.
So these are going to be really, really cool. These are going to be really cool sessions. They are all free, and they're just going to be great. Like if you were going to get the same level of like information and like listening on this same kind of conversation, you'd have to pay, $300 to go to StokerCon or World Horror Con if it was around still. Like, because these people they're brilliant. They are great at writing short fiction. That's the reason why we have them in the anthology. And they're going to tell us and tell, people who are there watching how to be a better writer. It's just free. We like doing it. We like, showing off our authors and letting them talk for themselves. And it's really cool. So that's great. Those run, like I said, the 28th, 29th, and 30th, and they start at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. And they only run for an hour. So they're just regular conference sessions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
For those of you who do not yet have a copy of Humans Are the Problem, you can get that on Amazon. If you don't yet have a copy of Mother Tales of Love and Terror, it's because it's still funding and you need to help fund it. So please go to Kickstarter and get your copy that way. And if you have time toward the end of April, if you make some time, have a window of time to attend the Monster Class Conference on the 28th, 9th, and 30th.
Yes. And the best part is if you fund this, maybe we'll stop calling her Heather.
Because she's not a Heather.
Not a Heather.
So
will you? How many did we get? Did you check?
Well, then we started like not a Heathering over the top of each other. And so there's definitely like 4 or 5 in there that didn't get counted.
Yeah, they didn't get counted.
No, they got counted. We're at 27.
Yes!
27! That's a really good number. I like
that. That's my birthday.
Oh.
I see. You guys have had the privilege of meeting Willow before, and so, but this was my first podcast with you. So I was just kind of, I was kind of thinking here, hey Willow, I just met you, and this is crazy. But if I back your Kickstarter, can I call you Heather? Maybe.
Oh my God.
Not Heather.
If you back the Kickstarter, you can call me Janet Lee. You call me whatever you want, friend.
All right,
Maybe we could advance to Laurel or something.
Yeah.
Advance to Laurel.
Fine.
Oh,
or just
cut.
call me Nelwyn or
It would be more rude to call you Daikini, so I think you're probably right on that one.
Any of the other names that Krebs called her last time?
Out of the way, Peck.
All right. So with that said, we're going to wrap this up at 28. Fund the Kickstarter. Mother Tales of Love and Terror. Make Willow happy.
Yay!
And get a fantastic book in the process. So, folks, with that said, we're out of here.
And crawlers, gather your fears, phobias, and night terrors and tell your story, whatever may come.
And whether you are a super duper horror fan or you cower under the blankets like every other human being, always remember to be epic and don't suck. She's not a Heather.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.